How do you develop a product, iterate it, and arrive at a final design ready to be launched? So at Silverwood Gaming, we've got 3 main product categories. And what I want to do in this video is just talk you through how we went from having absolutely nothing to having a finished and launchable design. So when I started Silverwood Gaming, I had an idea for a table that would have made playing with my friends a lot easier for whatever game we were playing. And actually, we've still got that idea in the pipeline. It has a name, it has designs, but it hasn't progressed to a point yet to where we can sort of create a product. But we knew we wanted to make something at that point, and kind of saw what else was out there and got a bit of an idea. But of course, we took inspiration from a lot of different products that are available. We looked at what was good, what was bad, what could we do differently, and why would we make something? Because that was the first stage. Was there something we could do that meaningfully takes the existing offer and makes it better? And what we didn't want to do is take a huge risk at the start when we wanted to validate that what we had was a workable product, a workable offering. So we looked at 3 products that we thought were the foundational accessory for any tabletop role player and most other types of gamers. So the first one, and this is the one that's most tailored towards tabletop RPG players, is a dice vault. The dice vault exists in a bunch of different ways, where it's usually a box that you can store a set of dice in. And what we saw on offer was a lot of stuff that was using foam. It was a lot of stuff that was like, I'll just chuck your dice in here. And we started with this. And I'll go through how we iterated it, but what did we think we could do differently? Well, we made recesses. So this one is designed to keep your best set of dice in. Just having that doesn't meaningfully really move the product along. So we came up with the idea of a heritage, and that turns that into something a bit more like this. It's a bit more characterful. And that's where we really came to what we wanted to do with our products. And that was bringing character off the sheet and into the accessories. There's plenty of plastic things available that were 3D printable, or you can buy them from Temu or AliExpress, or even Etsy. But they're plastic and they're kind of cheap and they're a little bit too much. Something like this, you can tell that hand effort went into that. It's not just, it's a 3D design and we printed it. And we were like, okay, well, we could do that for this style, but maybe we could make a bunch of different styles. And that was where we came with our first product offering. Okay, we can make these items that exist, but we can also give them character. The other 2 products that we made were the dice vault and the dice tray. And I'll show you is how we iterated through those with some examples that we have as we progress from each stage to the final product. And then at the end, I'll kind of sum up, like, are the products finished? So at first, we'll look at how we got those 2 dice vaults from where we started. So this is the first dice tray prototype we made, and it's a single slab that we routed out using a hinge and a clip on the front. It closed up so it could act as a bit of a vault as well. As you can see, it didn't really sit flat. The lid's quite thick. I'll do a test roll of some dice here, and you'll hear it doesn't have a great sound. Because it's not got that elevation off the table, it goes quite flat. Yeah, it's just a bit wasteful. But it was really nice, and that was where I was like, oh, hell, dice trays are really good. But it wasn't quite what we wanted. The next thing we went with was a bit more of a traditional design. This one's just a square, and we came up with that shape because it would fit alongside your notebook quite nicely. It's got quite thick sides on this. I think they were 10 mil, leather lined. You hear the sound now. There's a bit more of a knock, and my camera's not picked it up that well, but it sounds a bit more of that sort of distinctive like rattle sound that you get from a nice elevated tray. But as we looked at it, the sides were a little bit thick. We didn't probably need to go that thick. It made it a bit chunky. So the next design you see is what we ended up with, what's available now. You can see the logo, lays onto the side there. A nice ply on the bottom. You'll see we've chosen leather not for prototyping there, so it's nice smooth leather. Oiled the sides. This is the ash, so you've got the oak and the ash there, and then below is the cherry. And this is where we applied the heritage design. So this one is 10 mil, but only at the base, because you can see at the top it's been routed out to be much thinner. But also these trays are much lighter. So typically the dice trays you're going to see available in a similar style, they're going with like a 10 mil ply base, so they can screw feet in. You don't need feet especially when you smooth sand it like we do. And because we rebaited, ours actually have a lot better structure than a lot of those other designs you'll see. This is one of the earlier versions of the dice vault. You can see at this stage I'm actually holding the top. Still got 7 recesses, but the corner was quite rounded. It just looked a little bit sloppy, not really contiguous with the rest of the design. And one of the challenges we had was really getting it to fit. So you can see it should be reversible, and it sometimes just wasn't. It takes a lot of work to get that actually reversible. This was the first stout heart, or one of the first stout hearts we did, sorry. And you can see like getting that aligned was a real mission. To get that aligned on the CNC so the design is translated properly, you'll see in a sec that it just wasn't straight at all, and it looked awful. The design is there. The design looks great of what is there, but I wanted it to flow from the top to the bottom, which it isn't really doing here, from the top piece to the bottom piece, and for it to be reversible. And clearly on this stage it wasn't, but we made a few improvements. We worked on it and got to a much better version. So it's just millimeters, but it was really important to get that right. The shape definitely took on a much better way. But these are the finished articles. So this is the oak. You can see it's leather lined. We made the bottom piece now, and you can see those bits are a lot more square with the bottom, so it's just easier to get the dice out. And there you go. Like I'll show you now. When they're in the top, it's a bit harder to retrieve the dice, but even the more fiddly ones you can get out, like the D4s. D20 is always easy, and it claps together nice, smooth. The magnets are nice and strong, and then you can see with the stout heart we've managed to get the alignment to work, so it looks like a great piece, and we've solved all those problems. That was really the version that we went with, because we knew what we wanted fairly early on with the design, but we just needed to translate that using the CNC and using hand finishing to get it so that it fit nice and flat and straight and was reversible. Like it had to be reversible, because otherwise, if you put it on wrong, you would feel that that's not a very nice product. So here's some variants of the dice tower. So this is one of our early ones, and you can see what we wanted was to have that 3 baffle system, so that as it comes out the bottom, it's gonna be randomized. And we also wanted to have a tray that went with it. There was one piece. Clearly, in the initial test versions, it was a little bit more difficult to get them to fit together. And also at the bottom, we'd had a baffle in, but you can see it just looks a little bit messy. Even like we tried to fill it, but it just didn't look right. So these are some stout heart versions. On the stout heart dice tray, we've got that stout heart design that follows through with the rest of the products. We changed the opening on the tower so that you would get that design echoing through, and we replaced the bottom baffle with a block, so it gives that a reassuring weight that it's not going to fall over, and it also just makes the bottom look a lot nicer. It has a nice smooth feel to it, and you can see it there as well. Okay, so like you need to put it in properly, but you'll get that great feel, and it can fit a ton of dice through it. I think I've probably got about 24 RPG dice through on normal scale, but they turned out really nice. We didn't have to iterate that too many times. It was just things like the baffles and the bottom block, and then just getting it nice and square. It really made that into a great product. So those are the 3 products that we started with that form the core of our business. So are our products going to change? Yes. In the future, they are probably going to change. We got them to a stage where we're happy with them, they're available for sale, and people are buying them. So what are we going to do now? We've got these 3 products, and at the moment the offering is just ash, oak, and cherry. Those are the woods we have them available, and we have our 2 heritages, artisan and stout heart. Now, the next thing for us to do, and if you've seen it on Instagram, we've got walnut, we've got yew. We want to start bringing out a few different woods just to give a bit more variety, but also the next heritage. And that next heritage, which is called Undiminished, we will come on to in later videos about how we've developed that. We've just had a bit of delay in really getting the prototyping going, but we're really keen to get Undiminished out. With our core offering, I feel like it's really important that we strengthen that with more variety and more heritages, because that's kind of our USP. Taking character and putting it into your accessories, not just on the sheet. If you've got any questions or you've got any comments, please put them down below. You can like and subscribe, that'd be great, but really I'd love your feedback. What do you think about these videos, and what do you think about the products? And if you'd like to see hands-on the products, then there'll be a video popping up somewhere around here that will take you to an example of us sort of moving around the product in a much slower, zoomed in, more practical way, so you can really get your eyes on what the product looks like.